because I have a fabulous guest. She's been on my show before, and she's launching her own YouTube channel. She's a brilliant astrologer, Joyce Pietras, and I'm going to bring her aboard because we're going to talk about some things such as the Mercury retrograde starting tomorrow and whatever else Joyce feels is pertinent. And anyway, let's bring her on right now. Hey, Joyce.
Hi.
Thank you
How are
so much.
you?
I'm doing great. I'm so appreciative to have you here again. This is getting to be a regular thing for us.
I know. I kind of like it.
I like it too. We get along great. You know, you and I have become friends. We chat on the phone now. You've graciously done some astrology chart work for me. We're going to talk about that later. But tell us, Joyce, with all that's going on right now, what do you feel is important? What are some things you would like to address today?
Well, tomorrow is a new moon.
Yes.
And the same day that we're going to have a new moon, Mercury's going to go retrograde.
Oh, yes.
In Capricorn. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen is that the moon is going to be new, and that's a good time for us to set intentions until the next full moon. So we still have time. If you can do it quick enough, you can write down your intentions.
Okay.
Things that you'd like to get done towards the end of the month until the next full moon, which will be in January. And
how much time do we have left before the retrograde starts where we can
not much. The retrograde is going to start at 8 degrees, just after 8 degrees 21 Capricorn. So it's going to probably be 22 maybe, and then it's going to start going back. By the next day, it's already going to be at 8:29 Capricorn.
So it's beginning tonight?
It starts tomorrow.
Oh, it starts tomorrow. So we still have tonight.
Yes, you do. You have tonight. Yeah, just write down just things that you'd like to get accomplished. Okay. And that's a good idea because, you know, we're coming into a new year too. Yeah. So it looks like by the 30th, the thing about this Mercury retrograde is that it's not always bad.
Yeah.
When Mercury goes retrograde, it's a time to redo things, renew things, review things. Anything that has a re in front of it, that will be a good thing to do. So when you do your intentions, I would do things that have to do with redoing things, revisiting things, renewing friendships, perhaps, or things like that. You know, things that have a re in front of them. You can think of a lot of things, I'm sure.
I love that. I love that. That's a very easy thing for all of us to remember. And
I would make sure some of the intentions that I set, if I was out there and I'm going to do it, would have to do with that. And I'm gonna think about renewing some friendships.
That's a great idea.
I think that would be good. Now, the thing about this Mercury retrograde, where everyone's saying it's so awful, is because it's going to happen in two different signs. It's going to start off in Capricorn, and then it's going to go all the way back to Sagittarius. By December 30th, it's already going to be at 0 degrees Sagittarius.
Yeah.
So it's going backwards through the signs. So it's going back, you know, and then it'll hit a station, and then it'll start moving forward. And we'll feel it more after it goes back to the degree that it went retrograde. So, you know, if it goes retrograde at, let's say, 8:21, 8:22, and starts to go backwards. Once it gets going and it starts going again after it stations direct, then we'll get everything all finished up. It'll be great.
Do you feel those two signs are going to be particularly affected by this retrograde?
Perhaps, and it could be people, depending on what your personal planets, where your personal planets are in your chart. And I don't know if everyone knows their chart, but I was looking at yours, Chuck, and it looks like it's going to be on an asteroid close to Vesta, between Vesta and the moon in your chart, in your 9th house, which is house of education, you know, not your elementary education, but like college and anything that you do
Yeah,
after you finish school. So
I hear
also
all about
for
this.
foreigners and whatnot. So it'd be a good time to reach out to friends that you haven't seen for a long time, maybe in foreign
Yeah,
places. And it'll go past your moon. It'll go past your moon.
which
So
means
you'll feel it. You'll feel it. You'll have, maybe, I hope you don't have any regrets, you know.
oh, no regrets.
No
We
regrets.
just pee off here, you know.
But that might be something. And then it's gonna keep going all the way back to 0 degrees
Uh-huh.
Sagittarius.
So I mean,
Even farther than that. I think I was trying to find it really quick to see when it was going to back, but I think it's like in January, the first couple weeks of January, it's going to station direct and then go back.
yeah. So
So now this is, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, just in layman's terms, what can I expect during this retrograde for me personally?
What you can expect for you,
Yeah.
maybe there'll be some past hurts that you'll feel for a twang of for a few minutes. I mean, it goes pretty fast, and maybe you'll be thinking about someone from your past. Maybe someone from your past will come out that you haven't thought about for a long time will reappear.
Okay. Yeah.
And then as it goes back, it'll be going back into your eighth house. And it might be, that's going to be around the time when we're all thinking about our taxes, filing our taxes. So,
Yeah. Which
yeah.
means for me, do you see that like financial difficulties or?
Yeah, and it's going to pass up your Jupiter, which is in your eighth house.
Yeah.
And it'll keep going. It'll keep going. Your Jupiter is at 26 degrees Capricorn, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So the biggest thing to think of is that there's bound to be some Mercury retrograde things like your miscommunications.
Oh, yes.
Your printer stopping for some reason,
Go
a
through
letter getting misplaced. So be really direct. Try to be as clear and direct as you can in your communications.
Okay.
And anything else, just kind of laugh it off because it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You
I've
know,
had some retrogrades that have been vicious, where they've affected me badly.
yeah,
So I
don't sign any
always
contracts. Don't sign any
Oh, I
contracts.
had that. I think I told you I had a horrible experience once with that. I know you're not supposed to sign contracts during a Mercury retrograde, but it was the circumstances were such that I had literally no choice. It had to be done. And you can't very well say to your lawyer, well, my astrological chart says it's a Mercury retrograde and I can't do this. You can't say those things to most people. And I
Yeah,
had to do it.
I don't
And
understand.
sure enough, it was disastrous. Oh,
Yeah, because you're going to have to redo it. It's
Yeah.
because something's going to be wrong in it, and it's going to have to be rewritten and redone and relitigated if you have litigation or something.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the right time to do that.
Right.
But you can think of that. If you have to sign something, sign it and just know that, it's going to have to be redone. You'll be reviewing it soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm even reluctant to travel during a retrograde.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I try to put all those things on hold, but sometimes you have to. There's no way.
Right. It's going to be kind of a mess travel wise for the country.
Well, especially with the holiday season and the weather and then, of course, what you said about communication, I can only imagine when families are gathered together. Oh, we all know that one.
But there's going to be some good things that are happening around Christmas. So I think I'm looking forward to a really good Christmas and holiday season.
I am too.
Just remember to when you communicate with someone, be as clear as you can. So
yes,
there's less of a chance of you being misunderstood.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
May I ask you, please, what would you say will be my biggest challenge for the Mercury retrograde in the next 3 weeks? Or is that something that you
gosh. I'm looking at things that are opposing it. Well, I don't think it's not going to be touching your sun.
Okay.
You've got it doesn't look too bad to me for you, Chuck.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah, I wish
just a few little things. That's all.
a few little bumps, a little glitches.
A
Well,
little.
thank you for telling me that. And I know we've already talked about the big redo and recreate, but what would you say is my biggest life lesson from this
Oh.
Mercury retrograde coming up?
Hmm.
What is the most important thing I need to achieve, learn to better myself from this retrograde, since it is a chance to go inward and look at things?
Well, I would say that don't be afraid to rethink things.
Okay.
Okay, I
New
think
ideas, reinvention. There we go. Reinvention.
reinvention. There you go. See, if you keep going, you can think of a lot of things.
I
And I
love that.
bet when you make your list, you're going to think of things to do. Think of
You
things
know,
that you'd like to see manifest by the
that's
full
often the
moon.
way I work. I'm very big on journal writing, and I like to do it the old-fashioned way. I like to get out my Mont Blanc fountain pen and get my actual journal. I'm come from the generation where we, of cursive handwriting. I'm still not
I have one.
with a keypad, even though I know that's probably an easier way to write. But I like the fact that writing slows us down so we can feel, we can think as we're putting it down on the paper. So I find it more meditative for me. So yeah, I'm going to be working on my list tonight. I hope a lot of people out there will be. I think you've just made a wonderful suggestion.
It just takes a few minutes, and then as you start, once you start it, you'll think of all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, it's a good time to rethink things and review things and
Yeah.
reassess things.
I
So
think
that's good. But remember, once the new year starts, the new year, it's time right now anyway for all of us to be finishing up stuff.
yeah, because you
To
said that.
review stuff and redo things before the new year starts, because we're going into a really big 8-year.
Right. Because I remember the last time you were here on the show, you said 2024 is going to be big for all of us in our own way.
Right. And
Yes.
for everyone, it affects everyone. But then we each have our own personal year. And I hope to put up a video soon about that.
I hope you do, because I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thanks, John.
We talk on the phone, and you're where I was about 4 months ago or so, and I was just starting all of this. And what I've seen, I've been very pleased and very proud of you. And I know without any doubt you're going to be excellent at
Well,
this.
I hope you're right. I think you are.
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
you're right. I have good feelings about it.
Yeah.
It's just the technology. As you get older, the technology doesn't come as quick. It's to understand.
Tell me about
Some
it.
of my kids, I used to just get a new phone and just hand it to my daughter, my youngest daughter, and say, can you do my phone? And she would just say, give it to me. And then she would go, blah, 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 and then she would go, there you go. Man.
I think both of us consider ourselves reasonably intelligent people, but technology can make me feel so stupid, feel like such a moron.
For those of us in my generation, there's a lot of people that don't even have a computer. They don't have a smartphone. They don't have a computer. They'd rather not. It's just overwhelming. They just don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that because my parents, my parents were basically 2 generations ahead of me because they had me when they were in their early 40s. So when I was growing up, I was like, why don't you want to have an answering machine? Why don't you want to get a VCR? Why don't you want to have a microwave oven? My mother resisted getting a microwave oven until sometime in the late 1990s. They were very resistant to technology. And I, of course, as a kid, I poo-pooed that and made fun for it. Now that I'm that age, I get it.
My parents, I was born when my parents were both 40. And so I had an older brother and sister that were a different generation than I was. I was like the surprise. Well, I was a surprise, surprise, here I am.
Because my only sibling is 14 years older than me.
Oh, wow. My brother is 13 years older than me, and my sister was 17 years older than me. She's passed on.
Yeah, it was quite an unusual household for me, the circumstances, because that's fairly rare to have 2 kids.
Did they call you the baby?
Yes. And to my big sister's chagrin, I was the doted on, precious little baby who came late in life. I think she might have resented that a little, but my sister is incredible.
Uh, I bet your sister loved you too, though.
Oh God, and I
She
love
had
my
a
sister.
baby to play with, a real baby.
In spite of our age difference, we are as close as can possibly be. And in many ways, and I know she hates this because people would, as a young woman, they'd see her with the baby and think that I was her baby. And she hated that. She said it embarrassed her as a teenager and all. But, so I try to not remind her of that. But in many ways, my big sister was like a mother to me, and in some ways more so than my own mother. We just,
That
she's the
happens.
one who
That
helped
happens. Yeah.
shape me and raise me. But
Yes. So
Joyce,
I'm pretty close to my brother too.
yeah.
My sister was more like my other mother.
Yeah, I think
In
that's
a
a really
lot of ways, but she was my sister. Finally, as I got older, we did have a more sisterly relationship.
yeah.
So that was good. So we got that chance to do that. I was happy about
Joyce,
that.
I've been talking about myself here, and I realize this is your chance. So what
Well,
would you like?
I don't know what else to say.
Just
Good
thinking,
luck out there during Mercury retrograde.
because the Mercury retrograde's coming up, a very big year for all of us, 2024. Is there anything you would like to address? Anything that you'd like to say while you have this time?
Hmm. Well,
Anything you feel is pertinent?
be
We need
looking
to talk
for
about?
my numerology series that I'm going to be putting out.
I
So
want to know more about it.
yeah, that's coming up, and I'll be talking about all that. I'll be talking about uh, things now, like I did today. I'm talking about a little bit about what you need to finish up before the new year,
Yeah.
and I will also help people as we go along. I'll have several, and I'll have others where I teach you how to find out what your personal year will be.
I want to talk to you personally about that one because I'd like to know more about how do you utilize numerology to assist people with their life purpose and path or what
Oh,
they need, or maybe you can tell me more about it.
yeah. Well, you'll have to tune in.
Well, maybe I'll cheat a little and call you on the phone and ask
Okay,
for just a
anytime,
little
Chuck.
private preview. I will share with you once, many years ago, I don't remember what all it said, but I had a numerology thing done on me, and it was uncanny how accurate it was in describing who I am. It was like having a really good astrological chart. And here's the other thing. I had it done for Charles Dransfield and Chuck Dransfield. And do you know the two reports were almost identical?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, little tweaks, but basically said the exact same thing.
You can use numerology you can use your name, and you can find out all the pinnacles in your name, and you can use there's all sorts there's your life path, and I can't remember all of them, life path and whatnot. And then you can also do things like your address.
Really? Your
Yeah,
address?
your address.
Intriguing. Could you tell
Just
me a little more?
just the numbers in your address. So
Yeah.
in my address, I thought about that, and I thought, well, for a long time I lived at 907. That equals 16 equals 7. So that was a 7 house. And it fit. A 7, let me see. A 7 is you're answering quest for the truth. It's reserved. You're searching for awareness. It's intellectual. You're analytical, but it has you have powerful intuition, spiritual, curious, secretive, suspicious. And I thought, yeah, that house we got robbed.
Oh, wow.
We lived in front of a big park. We loved our house. We lived in front of a big park, and people could break in easily. And so we did everything we could we got a system. And the biggest thing that we did is we got a Doberman pinscher.
Well, that would work.
And I love the Doberman pinschers. They're just sweethearts, but they are very protective of you.
Yeah.
And they bark, and they're big, and they look scary.
They're
and
intimidating. They look scary. That's the
police officers that came to our house to fill out the report. He told me that. He said, I think you need to get a big, scary looking dog.
Yeah.
So we did. And he turned out to be a sweetheart.
I was just going to say, that's been my experience with Dobermans. They look scary, and they're the sweetest dogs.
Yeah.
You get
But
the best of both worlds that way.
he didn't want anyone, my son Tom was a little kid. He was out there playing with a friend, and they were chasing each other around, and
Mhm.
he didn't understand it. He was trying to stop that boy from chasing Tom. And I had to call him in, I had to say, up. He was about ready to nip on his back pocket.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good thing.
Joyce, how quickly can you calculate numbers? Like if I gave you the 4 digits of my address, is that something where you could tell me
Yeah, I
something?
can do it right now.
Okay, 4310, 4310. I was just curious because
Well,
I never
it's,
heard of
it's an
that
eight.
using addresses.
It's an 8.
It's an
So
8.
it's a powerful address.
Really? Tell me
Yeah.
more, please.
Well, just like the 8-year,
Yeah.
it's a place for us to find your success.
That's very interesting because I work from my home now. I do my shows from here. I do my videos from here, do my writing from here. Yes, this is a place of
A
power.
good place to manifest your power. Make a
I'm
name for yourself.
fascinated.
Exhibit some mastery, your mastery, like your paintings.
Yeah, I do my artwork here too.
Yeah.
I do everything in my home. When during the pandemic of 2020, everybody was freaking out because they were shut up in their homes. I can't stand it. Gotta get out of here. I was one of the few people who actually loved it. I didn't have to go to my job. I could just stay home, be with my cat and my books and my music and work on my art and my writing. It was a, it was actually a fertile time for me. It was a very happy time. I mean, despite all the tragedy that was going on.
Well, it's interesting because my house in Tucson, I just added that up, and that was a 4. It was a lot of work. I had to work really hard while I lived in that house. And I had several jobs, and I worked for the school district, and then I coached synchronized swimming. I also
Yeah.
went and judged all over the place. I was very busy. And that was a 4 house. I was busy working. And then I thought, well, now this house that I live in, it's 3919. And if I've added that up right, 12, 13. Yeah, it's a 22. It's a master number.
Oh, but I'm just so intrigued what you just told me about my own home.
Yeah. So that's a good play. You're in a good spot.
Oh, thank you. I've got to talk to you more. There's so much.
There
Because
is so
I know
much.
we're gonna be doing each other's shows, so we've got a wealth of material to talk about. So there's part of me that wants to keep talking about this, but I don't want to monopolize it just for myself. But I want this to be your chance to let people know what you're
Well,
about.
maybe some people have questions.
Yeah, and yes, let's see if we have any questions. I don't see anything coming up just yet, but I was going to say, Joyce, please tell people about your channel. This is so exciting. A lot of people don't know about it yet.
Well, I have some plans. Starting next year, I'm going to be doing something called 1 Minute Mystic, and I'm going to be doing some esoterical thought provoking statements for each degree of the zodiac.
Wow.
And I don't know when that'll start, but I thought, should I wait until Aries? Maybe I should start with 0 Aries and see how that goes. But every day the sun moves about a degree.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask you because this is, of course, the Mercury retrograde,
Uh-huh.
and knowing what just to advise yourself, do you feel you could work on this project during the retrograde, or it's better for you to wait till after it's over in January?
I've already started working on it so that I can go back and review it.
So it's a continuation. Now,
Yeah.
that's what I have always been told with a retrograde. If you've already begun a project, you've already started something, then it's okay. It's safe
Right.
on working in it. Okay, well, that's great then. Then you might actually do better work during a retrograde. It might make
I
you
might
more
start it after the
introspective.
retrograde's over.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, it'll be things from Mark Edmund Jones. And let me see if I've got my little book. No, I put it. Well, maybe I do. Using this astrological mandala. So I'll be giving a statement every day.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, what's today?
Today is
I'm going to look and see where the sun is.
December 11th.
So it's 19 degrees of Sagittarius.
Mhm.
19 degrees of Sagittarius. Okay, let's find it. So, come on. There. Today, the message would be something for you to think about.
Uh-huh.
Would be, just imagine this: pelicans menaced by behavior, pelicans menaced by the behavior and refuge of men seeking safer areas for bringing up their young. So the pelicans are looking around, trying to find a safe place for their young.
Uh-huh.
The need for people concerned with the future to discover a new way of living in more wholesome surroundings. And the key word is survival.
Now that sounds almost a little ominous in some ways, but could you explain that better? I realize that's metaphorical.
Yes, it's metaphor. It's something to think about.
Okay.
You put the
It
picture
just
in your head.
feels
You can see
as it
these
resonates.
pelicans. They're seeing these like garbage laying around from some men that are moving around, and they're thinking, we need to find a better place to raise our young. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. The evident reason for using pelicans at this stage of the cycle is that tradition tells us that these birds are so concerned with their young that they give their own blood and flesh to feed their progeny.
Right.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Whether this is a fact or a symbol, the meaning of this picture refers to a situation that lately has acquired great urgency. Our technological society is polluting not only our global environment,
Yeah.
but the mind and feeling responses of new generations as well.
I'll
The
agree with that.
search for a whole new way of life is seen by many people to be imperative.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Yeah,
that would be my message, for my 1 minute thing. That would be my message for
I love
today, for the degree that the sun is at today.
when you would give a message like that, would you just read it as is, or would you also explain it and
I'll
elaborate?
probably explain it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just like,
As much as I can get in 1 minute.
oh, in 1 minute. That's the tricky part there. You've got a point there. Because I like the way you elaborated upon that. Because, I understood that it was metaphorical, but at the same time, I'm glad you
Yeah,
guided us a little further.
but learning more about pelicans, that was interesting.
That was
But it
intriguing.
is true.
But it's so true about what we're doing to our planet, how technology frankly is corrupting the minds of our children, what it's
I
doing to
think
their attention spans. I also feel it's robbing children of their imagination and their creativity. We grew up with coloring books and building blocks and tinker toys, and and now I see them glued to their tablets and their phones, and it's so passive and almost hypnotic, and I worry about that if children are developing their imaginations. Not to go off on a tangent there, but
yeah, I think they are. I think they are. I think that unless most parents these days try to limit their screen time for their kids. They call it screen time, and that includes your phone, your laptop, your whatever you're using, the TV. Get out and
yeah,
play.
exactly.
Get them involved in dance classes and tennis lessons and whatever whatever you can that they're interested in. Take them swimming. This is what my children do. They've got them swimming and dancing and going to school and having fun.
Well, I know what you've told me
Yeah,
about.
it's not like us where we used to come home and change out of our school clothes into our play clothes and then go ride our bike. Go out and play, find kids in the neighborhood to play with. There was plenty of kids back then, not so much right now.
Right. But I know in our personal conversations, you've told me about your 4 children, and I can tell you were an excellent mother because they've all turned out so extraordinary.
They are good kids. Yeah, they're not kids anymore. They're good adults.
Well, you're always a good mother, and I just think what a lucky thing to have your mom be
I feel fortunate. I feel
a
very fortunate to have had 4 children, and I have 9 grandchildren.
9 grandchildren. Ah,
They're all joys.
they're
Yes.
lucky. Well, they're lucky to
The
have you.
oldest one is starting college, just started college this year, and the youngest one started preschool. She's just turned 3.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
a big span. It's been fun.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
thanks,
wonderful.
thanks, Chuck.
Well, yes, thank you so much, Joyce, for being here. And I just wanted to make sure that we got
Thanks for
your
having me. I really enjoy
got
it being
anything
here.
that